Simply Authentic is the podcast where realtors and referral partners get the conversations they actually want to hear. I'm Crystal Forbes with Great American Title, a family-owned and operated title company with over 30 years serving the real estate community. We provide title and escrow services for both Missouri and Kansas, with locations throughout Southwest Missouri. We focus on providing exceptional customer service and trustworthy, reliable title insurance coverage. Our relationships with other industry professionals are why we are able to make dreams come true, one closing at a time. Great American Title is proud to sponsor the Simply Authentic podcast, bringing the most relevant, real, and sometimes challenging conversations that help all of us get better. Tune in, subscribe, and let's keep this industry moving forward together. Simply Authentic, recorded at the Gershman Mortgage Studios, available wherever you get your podcast.
Welcome to the Simply Authentic podcast with Angie and Tanya. We are real estate pros, entrepreneurs, leadership gurus, and community enthusiasts. Our passion is sharing our experiences to enrich the lives of others. We hope to inspire you to live authentically.
Welcome back to the Simply Authentic podcast. I'm Tanya Murfin.
And I'm Angie Mullings. And today, the hens are back.
Hens are back, guys.
Yay!
Callie, Linville, Sandi, Zwingle. We are here for a three-peat of the hens. And you might ask, what are the hens if you've never listened before? Well, it's just for girlfriends getting together and chit-chatting about life and the things that are important and the things that happen to us.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
So.
And it's hard to believe we were talking before we got on air here. It's been a year since you guys have been
It
in
has
here.
been an entire year. Goes fast, doesn't it?
It does.
And a lot changes. Sandi has a new grand boy.
Of course, yes. Wonderful,
Yes.
amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Best thing that's happened to you?
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, yeah. Can't even describe.
Yeah.
Yeah. She has no pictures.
Yeah.
Right.
Lies detected. Lies
Yeah.
detected.
Yeah.
Fun.
Harvey.
Harvey, yeah.
I love that name.
Family name. He's carrying on the family name, so it's a great grandfather. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So he's
And mom and dad are good?
of course, yes. Adorable.
Settled in, and he's how old now?
He is approaching 4 months.
Okay.
So
Oh my
he's right at the 4-month mark.
Yeah.
Starting to
fun.
kind of wake up and get a
Yes,
personality.
yes. He's found his voice. He's squealing. and
Okay.
so,
Love
yeah,
it.
Rolling over and just doing all kinds of fun things. So.
Yeah.
Love it.
And you're babysitting quite a bit.
I am.
Yeah.
And that was a great opportunity. I was happy to be able to just do that for the kids. And they,
Yes.
Not for financial reasons for them. They just wanted to know who was influencing their.
Of course.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I asked
Fun.
them, are you sure about that?
Take a minute. Take a minute. Think it over.
But
Yeah.
it's been really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have a new
That's
baby.
great.
Tanya
I
has a
do.
brand new
Number
bag.
3. She is fresh out of the womb, a week old, in a few days. Yeah, she's sweet. Carson Grace, Carson with a K is her name.
Yes.
And 3 girls, and Lakin and Caleb are doing wonderfully. They're figuring it out. And so there's been a lot of me and the other Nene helping with the 2 olders and, trying to entertain them a little more since the focus is on babies. So it's a balance. And they're still figuring it out.
Sleep deprived. My kids are sleep deprived.
Very much so.
Yeah, and I
yes. Yesterday I picked up Rai because Blake's back in school, and so Lakin's at home with the baby, and she admittedly hadn't showered in a week. Washed her hair.
Washed her
Hadn't
hair.
washed her hair.
She's done that.
She showered.
She's like,
I call this the big shower. The everything shower.
The big shower, and
Yeah.
she has great hair that she can go a week and it doesn't look like. I mean, I have to wash my hair every day.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? You haven't washed your hair in a week? She was like, no, can you believe that? I'm like, gross, but
also you
that's
look
just
great.
Yes.
good for
Jealous.
you.
Yeah.
And so I said, why don't you use this time to get in the shower? And she goes, Mom, I'm going back to bed.
Yeah, bye. Sleeping.
Priorities.
There.
Yeah.
Went over just and said, go take a nap. And she painted it. So
Yes.
you can just have to.
Sleep is way more important than washing that hair.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway. Okay, girls. Well, our first topic this morning, I'm going to let Callie Linville say it because she says it best
Oh, my
and kind of gave us the idea to have this as one of our topics.
One of our topics, yes.
So say it.
Okay, so she's really put me on the spot here. I say a lot of things, Tanya.
You know what I'm talking about.
Permission to say no.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when they approached me about topics, we were in an email group, and I was and this has been 2 or 3 months ago when we were planning this.
Yeah.
I was reflecting on my year, and I said, I have said no to a lot of things, and I've taken a lot of things off of my plate this year. I just didn't have the bandwidth, and I would rather do 2 or 3 things well instead of 10 things poorly.
Amen.
And that's just me where I'm at. I want to say none of this is prescriptive. I mean, I am not here to say this is how to live your life by any means. I'm just in a phase where I was like, I'm going to step back from some things and say no to some things. And there's nothing wrong. I'm quick to say there's nothing wrong with those organizations or with the leadership or actually they're in a great place. So this is a good
Great
time for
timing.
me. Yeah, for
Yes.
me to go on the bubble.
Yeah.
I don't want to go when things are bad. I feel like I have contributed.
Yeah.
So unapologetically saying no and letting go of the guilt, I think, of going,
Yeah.
So it's just, and not that I can't scale that back up in my life.
Well, sure.
It was just, I kind of have this rule that I call, like, think about your plate. I call it the 1-for-1 rule. If I add something to my plate, I remove something from my plate. And that's really hard to do.
I do that in my closet.
Well, see, it all works out.
It does. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
And so is there anything that happened
triggered.
within to trigger? Yeah, within.
Yeah, I didn't just wake up and go, had this epiphany in my life. Yeah, I've jokingly, and I have a text thread with some girlfriends called this hashtag 2025 dumpster fire. It just felt like starting in January, the hits just kept coming. And I don't want to disclose a ton of things, but at work, I had a coworker that was facing some major medical issues, and we're a small department, and so I was picking up his work. And I was happy to do so because he is one of the kindest people. And the work that we do, it's economic development. We have relationships with a lot of our customers and our clients. And so I needed to fill that. And it gave me a pause to look at my inventory and go, okay, where am I spending my time? And where is it best applied? So between that and then just personally, I was like still sorting through some personal health issues that nothing was like wrong. Like it was just like, why am I burnt out? Why am I not sleeping?
Yeah.
So working
Right.
through some of that, I was like, I've thought a lot about what are the free or low cost things with low barrier to entry that you can do every day that increase your health. So those are things like drinking water. That I would almost put that in the free category unless you're buying your water.
For sure.
Taking a morning walk, that is free. Looking at morning sunlight, low angle light helps set your circadian rhythm. That is free. Putting your phone down, that is free. Your attention, like what are the things that you can do that are very back to basic? So I really leaned into the simplicity of things, and that out of that kind of came, I think I'm going to get off some of these boards. They're in a good spot. I'm going to back off these.
Yeah.
So
I think we all can probably name a time that life has probably hit at the same time that you've overcommitted and you've said yes too many times. And you don't realize it until you're in the thick of it sometimes because it is a good cause. It is a good board. I've always been interested in this, or it aligns with how you think, how you feel, who you want to be, your legacy you want to leave. And then something's the trigger, right? That makes you rethink, hold on a second. And the reset of, I'm really stressed and why is that? And I think it's important that you pointing out all the free things that can be done, and not only the free things, but the mindset reset things.
Yes.
So obviously we all know how important water is, right? We all know how important exercise is. We all know how important just getting outside
Yes.
and getting sunlight and having the environment kind of reset your mood sometimes, how important that is. So I think that all those things you just said, Callie, don't necessarily have to go along with some big event happening
No.
and a big trigger.
No.
But just realizing that, hold on a second.
Yeah.
I find myself with no time
Yeah.
for myself, for those walks or for the just sitting and being.
I kept thinking a lot about, I wanted the inside to match the outside. So what I mean by that is being in alignment. And so the things that are going on in your interior life, which are, your thoughts and your chatter and your conversations with your trusted people, not necessarily the things that you're leading with on your social media or at work or whatever. So there's more like internal life conversations and thoughts. I wanted the inside to match the outside, which means that's your actions. So I wanted the inside of my life to match the outside of my life. So if this is what's going on inside of me, what are the actions and choices I make then to serve well and do well? Because I think the other thing that I kept thinking about was, I don't know if it's just culture right now, we say, let go of the things that are no longer serving me. And the more I thought about that, I was like, man, that feels really selfish. Like, that feels very like, it's all about me. It feels very selfish. And I was like, I don't think that. I just think I want to let go of the things that aren't really serving others, not necessarily just self-serving. So it was, what are the things that I can let go of that actually that organization's in a great place, or club or hobby or whatever it is, they're in a great place. Let someone else step up and do. If I don't step out of the way, it doesn't allow the opportunity for someone else to step in. That's why we have term limits.
Right.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
Yeah.
The reason we have
Change
term limits
is good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody, I hope that someone comes behind me and does far better
Right.
For sure.
than me.
Yes.
Like, I am not the expert on this.
Yeah.
Do better, go farther, do more.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, those
Right.
were things that, and I also decided I was going to take a long, hard look at how much I'm like doing quote good things to a fault. Like, am I exercising too much? Am I, over committing to hot yoga or whatever it is? I was like, hey, how about a moderate view on these things?
Yeah.
You can take anything
That's true.
and
Too
overwork
far.
it.
Yes.
So
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
there you go.
I think, I agree with a lot of things you said. Bandwidth was the word that came to my mind when I was thinking through this. And, 11 or 12 years ago, changed job. I changed a career. And so my initial reaction was, I need to get involved. I need to get plugged in. And I did that almost to a fault. I mean, I was involved, and you guys know. Maybe it wasn't.
Sandy's everywhere.
I
Yeah.
was just like, I was doing this.
And you kind of feel like you have to be in our industry, right?
Right. If you work in a service industry,
Yes.
you want to be available. You want to
Yes.
put yourself out there. And then it does become, though, a thing that you're just like, I'm doing all of these things at the expense of everything that's really important to me. So, you were saying, take time to do this, take time to do that. And if you're so involved, and I don't regret a lot of that.
Sure.
I mean, I don't. And the organizations I
Yeah.
committed to, but back to, it's time for a change. It was like, okay, I've done this for however many years, X years. And it's like, somebody else needs to step up and breathe new life into that. But for me, it really was, I'm not able to take care of myself or do this or spend time with my family or just my husband or, the kids at the time. And when you are so committed like that, when it's detrimental to everything that is truly important to you, that's when you have to go, okay. And it is okay to say no. And I think if you're on the receiving end of being told no, because I've led committees and asked people and had people, and I've wanted people to serve, and at first you're like a little bit offended, but you can't be offended because it's, in their world right now, it's just not,
Right.
it's not right for them to jump in and, and give you their full.
And it's not always a no endlessly. There's times
Sure.
that
Right.
You're right.
it's a no for not
Right.
for right now.
Right.
And I mean,
Exactly.
even think about some of the friendships you've had in your life and relationships. You pick back up with those people later on, and no harm, no foul. They were just in a phase where they were parenting heavy, or
Exactly.
or parents they're taking care of, or whatever they have going on in their life. And so I think giving that grace to people to know. It's that back to, it's not about me, it's not, this is no longer serving me. It's
Right.
that path has kind of meandered a little bit, and when life changes, maybe our paths join back up again.
Yeah.
And I think you have to look at who's asked you, like who asked, who was
Yeah.
putting the ask. Is this a person that asks everybody for everything all the time.
Right.
Or is it a person that, is a trusted friend and you're like, they don't ask unless, and then you evaluate a little bit differently and say, okay, I'm going to take a minute to think about this before I truly, and see if I can carve out, do I have the bandwidth? Can I still make my life work and do what I need to do for
well, I've joked that I look in the mirror and the problem is me. It's me. I'm the problem. It's me. I'm the one that has said yes to these things, or I have volunteered and I'm like,
you're right.
Does past me hate future me? Like that. Like,
true.
Why did I say yes to that?
Yeah.
I also am quick to say I want to do hard things to grow. We don't grow in complacency. Yeah. So I have said yes this year to something that is hard and it challenges me and I'm doing it. But when I leave, I'm like, okay, this is to grow. And I put a time limit on it too. So I'm going to do that for 12 months. I'm going to do that for 1 year. I'm going to serve in that capacity. And I was like, and then I'm leaving because it takes a lot emotionally out of me. So, but I'm doing hard things. I'm learning a lot through it. So
it's not just a sheer time suck.
Right.
You're like, oh, this is,
yeah.
I'm not,
Yeah, but I mean, you really have to, there's some homework in it and you have to read and you have to think. And so it is, I'll just say what it is. I was appointed to the Christian County Planning and Zoning Board. So these decisions affect a lot of people.
Yes.
So you have to be very mindful of that. It then goes to the commissioners to actually have the final vote. So we are just making a recommendation, but I still take it very seriously. I really want to hear what the neighbors are thinking, saying, impacts, those types of things.
So, sounds like another podcast to me. Pick the mind of someone on planning and zoning. What?
Yeah.
I would refer you to the county commissioners probably. Oh my gosh. So I said no to some things to say yes to that.
Yeah. That's amazing.
You have to evaluate. You have to
but
evaluate and prioritize.
Yeah.
Well, and that sounds like it's right up your alley because I know you.
It. Yeah.
Yeah. How interesting to be involved in that, even if it is a short time.
Right.
What you will learn in the process.
And I mean, none of them may listen to this or whatever. They'd be like, what is she talking about? But I, of course, my husband's a builder. Tanya's our agent. And so I very much am interested in the future land uses in our area. Yeah. How those decisions are made. I wanted to understand that better. And I also wanted to understand how that we, as an economic developer, not all growth is good growth. So a big theme right now in economic development are data centers. They employ very few people. They use a lot of resources. They're not always the best thing for a community. Now, if a community wants it, and everyone wants it, great. I want you to have what you want in your community. But if there is, overwhelming pushback on something, then no, we don't want that in our community. So I think understanding what your community is aligned with and what's best for your community and the people who live there.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I think that's with anything. I mean, take that into your home. Like, what's best for us? So back to saying no to things. You are your own little microcosm community of your family. What's best for our family? You don't have to answer to everybody else. You answer to your family for those things.
Right.
So true.
Right. I want to go back to something that Sandi kind of segued into, and it's being on the other side of that no. When you ask someone and they say no, and I tell a story every time I'm teaching a class now at the board, and every time I'm in that class, I tell a story, and I won't mention his name on here, but this was back prior to Leadership Academy, and we were having to beg people to be on our leadership team. And I made a call to somebody who's an outstanding individual as a realtor, as a person, and he said to me, Angie, let me think about that. And so he said, can I call you back on Monday? And he called me back on Monday, and I just all weekend I was like, please say yes, please say yes, please say yes. And he called me back on Monday, and he said no. Now, the key to that was he didn't say, I'm just too busy. I do have a pet peeve, and that's it. Because I'm super busy too, but yet I find time to do the things that are important, the things that fill me up, the things that challenge me. Yes, I say no to things, but I don't tell me you're too busy. What I would love, Sandi, is Callie, if you came to me and said no, and you told me exactly what you just said there, I'd be like, Man, I so respect that. I so respect that she's picking and choosing, and she's allowing other people to come in and take a spot. I think as leaders, sometimes we get so stuck in our position and we think we're the only ones who can do it, where actually we're taking a spot for someone who doesn't have the ability to grow because we're in that spot.
Right.
So luckily this guy didn't say, I don't have enough time. He, explained some things that were going on and I was let down. But on the other hand, I was like, I get it. I understand and it's fine. And you can't hold that against someone, but just I would challenge everyone out there to be honest and be truthful about why you're saying no, and you've given yourself permission to say no. And then I think it is so much, because to me, I just don't have time. It brings it back to it's all about me, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So show respect for the person who's asking you. Show respect for the entity that they've asked you to become a part of, and to stay in. And if it's your time to move on, just let them know that and be honest about that.
I actually applied for a board one time that I wanted to be on. And there were some early indications that I would be appointed to the board. And then at the last minute, I was not appointed to the board. And I was really let down. But the leadership called and explained to me why they chose another individual for that time. And it totally changed my viewpoint on it. And about a year later, they called me and asked me to be on it. And I think it's a lot of times, like when you get rejected for a job, it is how you respond to the employer or the hiring person. Yeah. If you throw a big fit, they're like, wow, we did not, but if you are so grateful and say thank you, and I always say, then you can go cry in your car, go cry at home.
Right.
Yeah, then it's how you respond to a no. So I'm glad you brought that up, the flip side of it.
Yeah.
I saw one time, and I can't remember who to attribute this to, but their response to something was, thank you for your inquiry. My plate is as full as I would like it now. Period. Yeah. So they didn't offer an excuse,
right?
And they didn't offer an apology. And I was like, well, that feels real weird to me, to not explain or apologize. But at the same time, I was like, okay, I get it. Your plate is as full as you would like it now, period. Okay, we can accept that, but I was like, I don't think I would be brave enough to write that in an email, but
right, yeah,
it's the most dismissive.
I know,
it
I was
is.
like, wow,
yeah.
So, but I think my plate is full as I would like it right now, and here is why. Like,
right,
I'm one that would finish with here's what's on my plate.
Yeah,
these things are leaving my plate at these appointed times.
Yeah.
Can we check back in
right.
that 18, 24, 36 months, or whatever it is?
But then on the flip
agree
side
with
of that,
that.
what if you just don't want to do it?
Yeah. Ooh.
I mean, think about it, because we've all been in those places too, where we're just like, I do have the capacity.
I think it's that it's not in alignment with me anymore. It's just not in alignment with me right now.
And it's gonna be a rhetorical question. I'm just saying. That's been there.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Well, and I think as professionals and as women, and the older we get, the wiser we get. I think no's are easier explained at this age. If you truly don't want to do it, it's easier to say no when you're coming from a really honest place. And so maybe you don't have to say, no, I hate your organization, right? I'm not aligned with your organization.
I'm all about being authentic, Tanya, but
right. Not saying that.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, I think it's easier these days to give an honest no. And sometimes do you maybe have to embellish that with a little bit of extra explanation, maybe. But I agree with you, like the opportunity that comes your way that you're like, heavens no, I would never do that at 30, and I'm not going to do it at 54. So, but I think a polished explanation is easier these days,
I would expect that from all of us, for sure.
Yes.
But I think with the younger generation, and not stereotyping, but
Sure.
just we were talking earlier about what we think is funny, what our kids think is funny. Like just the
totally
brains are different.
Right.
And so
Yes,
just
the brains are
even
different.
Just kind of how they approach, all of those different things. It's interesting
I appreciate you saying that the person gave you the pause. Like,
Yeah.
let me think about that.
Yeah.
And there's times I'm glad I pressed pause, and there's other times like, man, why didn't I just get that off my chest and go ahead and like make a decision? But I appreciate a thoughtful pause.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it tells me also that the person is really considering it and maybe not just dismissing me or making like, so I think you had, who did you have on your podcast? Nick's a football coach. Didn't he talk about
Yes.
practicing
Yes.
the pause?
He did.
Yes.
I
Yes.
appreciated that.
Yeah.
Agree.
That you have to sometimes sideline something and finish the task at hand and then come back and open that box back up and really think about that. So I appreciate the pause that the
Yeah.
person gave you.
Yeah, I did too. I knew he was considering it. I knew he would, and I believe him to be trustworthy. And I really felt like he was going to take it to heart, think about the obligation, because in another podcast where Tanya said that she was told it would take an hour a month to do
To get involved at the board.
to be involved at the board.
Was a complete lie.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeff Kester. And so I think really taking the time, if it's something that's in consideration, taking the time to really evaluate that. How much of my time is it going to take? Is something going to change in the next 3 months, 6 months, whatever the case may be, where I might be able to tackle that. But yeah, I love the pause. I love the pause for so many reasons: anger, thoughtfulness, all of those reasons, and we just don't do it enough. We don't practice it enough.
We're human. Knee-jerk reaction.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think oftentimes we do that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Anybody
Feels like-
have anything else they want to share on that topic?
No.
I mean, we can, no, indeed I don't.
We give
Says
her
Sandi.
permission to say no.
No, thank
No,
you.
no, thank you. All right. Well, it is a good time for a break.
It
so we're
is.
going to pause for a word from our sponsors. Buying or selling a home isn't just a transaction. It's a major life moment. But without the right realtor, it can quickly become overwhelming, stressful, and full of unexpected surprises. A lack of expertise or poor communication can mean missed opportunities, lost money, and unnecessary headaches. Reach out to Tanya Murfin at Southwest Missouri Realty to start your home buying or selling journey. And we're back. So we are here with the Hens. If you've not joined the Hens before, you can actually go back and listen to 3 other episodes
Yes.
of the Hens.
Equally as entertaining.
Oh my gosh.
Very entertaining.
Yeah.
Yes. But so we've been talking about simplifying your life and the art of saying no. So if you are just tuning in, go back and listen to that part because you'll learn something, I promise. But now we're going to segue into something that Sandi, and I'm going to say this in jest, Sandi has become a professional at over the last few years. And I say that, Sandi, only because I respect you and I know that you have a lot of great information to give all of us on your parents passing away, your parents aging, actually, first, let's go there, and taking care of aging parents, and then them ultimately passing away, and you having to take on the burden of estate planning, sales, funerals, all the things that went along with that. So I'm probably not giving you the introduction that because I didn't write all that out, obviously. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants here. But this is a topic and a true to life topic that will land in our plates, all of us here, sitting here today, and everybody else we know at some point in their lives. And so knowing you like we do, we wanted to honor that perspective and give you the chance to tell us what you've learned and the good of it and the bad of it and the things, the best tips you could give us for aging parents and estate planning, and, you know, dumb it down for all of us because there will be key takeaways in this.
No, that's very sweet. Thank you. And you're right. I did unexpectedly. I mean, had the
Yes.
privilege, honor, duty, task,
Absolutely.
whatever,
All of those
things.
things.
And
Yes.
you said fly by the seat of the pants, like that comes to mind.
Yeah.
With my parents, who were aging, and my dad's health was diminishing. My mom couldn't care for my dad like he needed to, so my parents just at one day, my sister lives in Arizona, and she's like, come and live with us. And so I thought that was a great idea because they needed some more help. I was working, and my parents ended up moving to Arizona, which left their home, 4,000 square foot home, fully furnished, refrigerator furnished, everything. I mean, my mom was at her wit's end.
Yeah.
So it really kind of was a situation where we had to say, okay, they're aging, this is it. Mom's just like, I've taken the things that are important to me, get rid of everything.
Wow.
And I was like, oh wow. Meanwhile, I had father-in-law who passed away, mother-in-law who eventually passed. We were dealing with trusts and estates and downsizing and all of this with my parents. And so I think the big thing, and I think Angie and I, we talked about this over lunch one day, is if you can, it's a very delicate, sensitive conversation, but if you can have conversations with your parents, your loved ones now, and at least try to have those conversations as to they need to lay kind of a roadmap, if they will.
Yeah.
This generation, our parents are all very, they're private financially. They're not going to want to share, here's how much money we have, here's where,
Right.
but if they could at least, unless there's something very specific outlined, unless there's a trust or there's some very specific things, like have them have conversation about give you the roadmap of where, just the who and the where, and during the, when this all happens. So, you're not sitting here trying to find breadcrumbs going, I don't even know where my parents have money. I don't even know what's going on.
Right.
They have life insurance policies that they took out when they were 25 and now they're 80, So, and I'll preface by saying, certainly I'm not an attorney. And I think I mentioned that to you. And this isn't legal advice, but when you do have a parent that you're working with that does have an established trust or even a will with your parents, find out where are those documents, because you will need original documents. Some parents are very, okay, we're in tandem, here's everything I have, but some are probably going to say, when that time comes, everything you need to know is in this burgundy binder in the bottom of this drawer here. And you're like, okay, that's really all you need to know. But I would say first, employ an attorney. You definitely want to work with an attorney.
True. Yeah.
But even if your parents have said, I'm not an only child, but I've been an only child, and they said, everything's going to go to you, Sandi, no worries. I still say keep everything separate. Don't commingle anything. Open separate accounts. If you know your parents have a home that's owned in a trust, you're going to need a trust banking account. You're not going to just be able to go sell that house. I mean, are you the trustee who has been named as trustee? But it's just a lot. And I think you have to know, you're going to need death certificates. So when the time comes, make sure you get 5 or 6 or 7, at least, if they've got accounts, because you're going to need to supply,
And on all those accounts, you're going to need originals. You were asked for originals most of the time.
Most generally. It just kind of depends what it is.
Yeah.
One interesting thing that I thought, too, is we had a trust account. This was on, a trust account set up and named trustee. So we were in that capacity. We weren't on the bank account as trustee, so we went to the bank after the passing and we're like, here's a death certificate. They're like, oh, we have to close this account. You have to open a brand new account because you have to get new tax ID numbers. And so just know that it's not just as easy as going, I'm the trustee, I have access to all this. I would say those conversations with your loved ones early on, if you can try to just glean as much information as you can to really have an understanding as to what they have. Are you the person? Are you going to be able to act independently? Are you going to be acting with brothers and sisters? Things really get. Luckily, we've been my brothers and sisters and I and my in-laws. It all just worked out really great. But transparency, we mentioned that word earlier, and I think transparency is really key. When you're dealing with everything that somebody has left behind, be very transparent. When my parents moved and ended up going to Arizona, they had this house full of just furniture. My sister and brother and I collectively came together and I said, Mom wants us to sell the house So our goal is to get rid of everything in the house. So we as a family, we all came over, and it just, I think it was amazing. Everybody went through the house, and it was kind of weird. But I said, don't make this weird. Mom and Dad want to bless all of us.
Right.
With so like, who needs what?
Right.
And we had just like a little internal like,
Yeah.
what do you want? So we took an afternoon. We said, identify what you think you want.
Yeah.
And then we all sat in the living room. Nobody was fighting over anything.
That's
And it was just like, so to this day, you know, I know who's got my mom's brand new sectional. I know who has the riding lawnmower. I know, you know, and and they appreciated those things. And my mom was so happy.
Oh, I bet.
Alive.
Yes.
That was I was totally gonna say that. Like, wouldn't you rather like
Bless somebody
where
with
you
your
can
stuff.
see it?
Yes. Be able to see it.
Yeah.
Agree.
And before you go on, Sandy, I want to make one point that the conversation you have with them when they're in their 60s, they may be even more reserved. You say have that conversation early, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. But just know when you're doing that, when they're in their 50s and 60s, that conversation may feel much more reserved and much more protected than when they are in their 80s.
It will be.
And then I feel like as they age, they start to understand, they have to know these things. They have to understand, you know, what our wishes are. And that's the most important thing, right?
And that is true. And again, that generation is very private. I know my parents had 2 or 3 different checking accounts, and my dad had this one that he kept, and he called it his old man money. And I don't even know what was going into it, but it was a separate account that he had. And they always joked about it, his old man money. We were like, asked my mom about like, hey, what happens in the event that, you know?
Yeah.
And so we finally convinced my dad to at least add somebody. On, and, you know, and we said, Dad, somebody's got to be able to get your old man money, you know?
Right.
And he perceived that as like somebody's going to take it. When like, no, just, and we tried to explain how it would work if it wasn't protected. And that's what I'm saying. If they use an attorney, have an attorney. But sometimes, to your point, if they're like, Angie, it's all going to go to you, don't worry about it. They don't understand that unless, you know, they may have a vehicle that's got value, and if it doesn't have a TOD, or they may just think when I die, you just get it.
Yeah.
No, that's not
That's
how
not
it
how it
works.
works.
And so when you do start having those conversations, and luckily we had a lot of those things kind of already in order, and most do, but having settled with Kevin's dad and his mother, they both, you know, they were divorced, so there was, you know, there's 2 separate things going on. There were just a couple of little things that popped up. They both had had very much their affairs in order, and they had trusts. There were a couple of things on either side that popped up, and it forced things to be in an estate that had to be probated. And so I say, if you get into those, you know, you're handling it, and somebody hasn't, because they're not going to show you all their cards as even as in their 70s.
Yeah,
you're right.
Privacy, and it's just it's a pride thing for them.
Yeah.
But older people generally have, you know, like paper statements and this and that, and so you have that task of going through like their organization system, and like just you really have to just start organizing out. I would not recommend you just throw it all in a box and take it to an attorney and go figure it out, because they're going to charge you, you know, $400 an hour to do that. And so being very organized, it was something that was just easy for me to do with that. But
I always think about, what are they going to do with all of my online accounts and passwords?
That's my point.
I joke with my husband, like, if something happens to me, if I leave this parking lot today and I exist no more, someone please go help him, because everything's going to be disconnected. I manage that in the marriage. That's just how it's fallen to me. And I think about that with our generation. Then
everything's electronic.
Everything's digital.
Nobody wants statements, this and that.
You're right.
You mentioned a conversation at 60 versus 80. I mean, I'm 57. I've told Peyton same thing. I'm like, Peyton, she doesn't. I just said, here's the where, and here's the who, and here's what you need to know. And the same thing. And help your dad, because I do all of that.
LG won't ever get on Netflix again. Someone come help him.
He's going to have to move someone in just to do those things.
He's capable of doing it. It's easier for me to do it right now. Probably very much like taking the trash up. He's really good at that. Thank you, honey. You know.
And I would say document everything. Even if you think, oh, this is going to be a slam dunk. My parents have a trust, this and that. It's going to be so easy. It's going to be start to finish in just no time. You're probably going to write checks for the trust. I would say defer to your attorney and find out, maybe you don't you're not going to pay every bill that comes in. Like, I mean, if it's a bill directed to an individual, maybe your attorney's going to say hold payment on that. So defer to the attorney. But if it's like insurance on the house that's held by the trust, you need to pay that.
Yeah.
You know? And document it. Because I know there were a couple times when the attorney would ask a question. He was like, what's this check for? And I mean, I kept the check register electronic. And I will say he was very impressed with my
organization.
I'm sure he
of
was.
it.
He was just like, are you working? And I'm like, nope. But anyway, I was able to just go back and have everything documented.
Yeah.
This is what this check was for.
Yeah.
We had to do a repair on this, or we had to, this is for the insurance, for the homeowners, or whatever.
Right.
And so just don't take anything for granted.
Yeah.
Set up a separate, even if you have to just get a little separate file box and be like, okay, this is until this is done, start to finish, because as you know, some of mine have taken a very long time, not for reasons, I mean, just sometimes there's just hiccups that come along the way,
right.
and that's just what happened. But.
Yeah. And the other interesting thing that we've had several conversations about this, that disbursement doesn't happen if you've got somebody that is going to be an heir, that they are going to get something, they need to understand that disbursement is not immediate.
Right, no, it's not 10 minutes after.
Right.
Yeah,
We're not going to meet in the parking lot at the funeral home and go, all right.
Here's your check.
No,
Here's your check.
You're
Yeah,
right. It
yeah.
does take a minute. And that kind of goes back to that transparency. And when you work with an attorney, they're going to help guide and direct you. But some of it, I think, they're here, but when they start asking you for this information, it'll just make the process so much easier.
Yeah.
And again, if somebody's set up with a trust, it should be an easy, if there's a trustee named and.
Yeah.
But
So you can always name a trust company. So
Yes.
I don't have any biological children, and we talked a lot about what does it look like. My parents, like businesses, family businesses. So we decided a neutral third party, like a trust company, is so much easier, because then we're not putting the burden on any one person.
Right.
So the attorney and the trust company can then work together, and they're doing all of the things that you're doing. Now, are they taking a percentage of the estate? Of course.
Yeah, of
I mean, that's how they get paid to do those things.
Yeah.
But we just felt like it would save relationships if we could outsource that to a trust company.
Very true.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that,
That's,
because I think that so
huge
many
service.
families should
Yes.
consider that if they've got potential heirs that don't get along, or they're spread out, or it could really take the burden off of
and continuity wise.
Yep.
So that I think is always an option for people also.
Yeah.
It's a great
one
point to
funny
make.
thing, my parents, after 51 years, disconnected their landline this week, and I was distraught over it, and I joked with them and said, if they keep making these poor choices, I'm going to enact the power of attorney on them. And they were like, what? They were joking, but they've been married 51 years this coming Sunday, and they finally
now.
disconnected their landline.
Yeah.
They got it in 1974.
Oh my.
I
Wow.
was a little bit sad when we disconnected.
I was
That was
so
a long time
sad.
ago, but still.
Right.
Yeah.
It just felt like a piece of my childhood.
Bring up that, and I think you guys you've had estate planning
Yeah,
attorneys
we
on
have.
here, and again, go back and listen to that, because lots
Yeah.
of great information
Yes.
there. But that power
Yeah.
of attorney is just another simple little thing,
Right.
You're right.
And not everybody does have.
I mean,
something
even just
set up.
disconnecting
Right.
a phone. I mean, think of trying to, I don't know. I haven't tried to disconnect a cell phone number. I've had the same one since 1997.
Right.
But I mean, my parents have had their cell phones forever. Like, what's it going to take to just stop the billing on something,
Right.
Right.
It really,
You're right.
it really is. And even if you're just trying to help them, situation where my mom was hospitalized, my dad's health condition had, deteriorated where he wasn't able to, he maybe could write checks at that
Right.
time, but so I was having to go in and, pay some bills and do this and
Right.
that. And so again, another reason why you just kind of want to have those conversations. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have
make
things
sure-
in place.
So you're not scrambling, but
That's a good point. Your past one
Yeah.
on the estate planning, those were really good. You've had great people on here,
Yeah.
so I'm
Yes.
sure
It's
you could
about
put those in
time
the
for
show
us to
notes.
do that again, because it's been a
Agreed.
minute, and things change
Oh,
so
gosh.
much
Yeah.
in that realm.
Yeah.
So
They really do.
Good stuff, Sandy. Thank you.
That's good.
Yes.
Well,
Thank you
reminders.
for that.
Probably just rapid fire a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, it's definitely a process,
Yes.
but I think really those early conversations, if you can,
Right.
if you can find that opportunity with your parents, just to be like, I just want to make sure. And I think what clicked with my dad was, Dad, if this isn't taken care of while you're still here, it goes to a court, and there's part of your money is going to go to to pay for court fees and things like that.
Exactly.
And that resonated with him. He's like, wait
Yeah.
a minute, hold on.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
And
Right.
if you understand that, I don't know that one person alive would want the court system to get their money,
Right.
And not
Or-
leave it
And
to
they have to use
someone
that
or
to
something.
pay the staff that processes the stuff in probate. I mean, it's not
Yes.
just like going to like some slush fund or something, but
Yeah.
it's still, you're paying someone to help
You're
you do
paying
this.
And it's
them to
their
help.
money that they
Yes.
worked hard for.
That's
Dying
right.
is
And I think
expensive.
this brings us back
is.
to
Turns out.
no is not no for, you know, if you approach them and they say no, not going to have that conversation right now, you just have to keep trying.
You do.
Because at some point
right.
you have to get a point across to them that it's necessary.
And please don't do it at the holidays. I feel like that
Yeah.
happens a
No.
lot.
Yeah.
No.
Because I feel like everyone's
Christmas Eve.
together on the holidays
Right.
and everyone's getting nostalgic and they start thinking birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, that is not the time
No.
to
It's
have
not.
these conversations.
No.
Right.
No.
We've had neighbors come over, and in the thick of all this, I said, I am dealing with all this, with my mom, Kevin's mom, all this. I said, look at Tanya. Do you have things like? Are you guys set? Do you have
Yes.
things the way?
Agree.
And they're like, well, no, we've been talking about it. We need to do this. And these are friends of ours in their 50s, and I'm like, it is so important
Yes.
because one thing can just change all of that.
Yeah.
And we come across that a lot in real estate
point.
with selling houses. And that's a good opportunity to ask the client, is this in a trust? Because we need to know, right, from the get-go. And if you're close enough with them where you can say, the next house, you really need to at least think about that. So we can say that even to people we barely know.
Right.
Because it's part of our job to be able to advise and say, when you're gone, who does this go to? You can do a beneficiary deed, and that wraps up the house. And, so it's a conversation that
Don't you
can
also
be
think that,
had.
when your parents start having their friends go through this, I think that is a trigger for them.
Yes.
And then even us, just at this age, having people have to deal with these kinds of things, it makes you start going, ooh, gosh, that could be me.
It's a
Like,
trigger.
you start projecting
Yes.
yourself into that position.
Yes.
So I think those kind of organically, those conversations happen because you're confiding in your friends. Even my mom goes to lunch with some girls at your mom's age too, and I think they compare notes on things too.
Yeah.
Although my mom did take a poll and ask them who disconnected their home phones, and they all did.
So that's what made her
then
do
she's
it.
like,
I was
The
like,
girlfriends.
you can't hang out with them anymore.
Yeah, that's done. We're done with that. Well, ladies, we could have this conversation all day long. We've got
really
a lot of great information that we've talked about, a lot of good things. So I want to thank both of you for
Yes,
being
thank
here.
you for coming.
Thanks for having
The
us.
Hens.
Yes.
Yeah, we always enjoy a
fun.
good conversation with the Hens.
Absolutely.
And we want to thank you for listening. We appreciate your time, and we hope you gain some insights, some tips, some things that will help you along life's journey.
Yeah, and share with a friend if you did find all of this very informational. And we want to thank Great American Title, our premier sponsor, and of course, Gershman Mortgage for recording with us. So we appreciate you guys. We'll catch you on the next one.
See you next time.
Find today's full video by searching the Simply Authentic podcast on YouTube. Hit subscribe, and there you will find full videos of every episode.